DJ colleagues. Thank you all for watching my last videos on the custom rig of the MCX 8000. A lot of you asked me to do another video on the 6000 rig. I got some questions for power management, custom cable soldering, things like that. And I'll do all those, but I thought this one was a little more important for starters. This is my DJ survival kit. It's my backup gear that goes with me to every event. I'll explain a little detail what it is. Basically, I've got a 50-foot heavy-duty 12-gauge extension cord with a lighted plug, so I know instantly if I have power when I plug it in, to a PowerCon connector. Another 50-foot extension, which I can lock into that one, and then I've got my PowerCon out there. So extension cords, black tablecloth, gaff tape, basically a Swiss Army kit of pro audio interconnects, gender benders, turning balanced into unbalanced signals, things like that. And that's for that unprepared videographer who needs to patch his, consumer grade equipment into pro grade gear. I heard, and band members too, I heard some DJs posting on earlier threads last week that, if somebody needs me to patch in last minute, that's not my problem. I think that's the wrong attitude. We're getting paid good money to make someone's day absolutely perfect. And if we're well prepared to handle any situation, then we come out looking like the hero. Who cares if somebody else was unprepared? We're there, we're already paid. You just make it work, So, extra speaker. This is a QSC K8. It's nice and small, light, easy to carry around. I always carry one more speaker than I need because sometimes you need it. Not because something breaks, but because you want to put sound somewhere else. I saw a post earlier this week of somebody who had dropped a bowl of chili into their controller. Always keep a little old school analog mixer with you. If your controller breaks, somebody spills a glass of wine onto it, what have you, you could take your main outs, go into your speakers, plug them into the main outs of here, plug an iPod into this thing, your microphone, and you're off to the races. Nobody missed a beat. I always bring an extra tablet with me. This is a Microsoft Surface Pro. I'm running Tractor Pro on there with, maybe a dozen playlists. My wedding playlist, my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, old school. So between this, and this, I could DJ right now. That's really all you need. So these are the essentials that hopefully never leave the truck, but I always have them with me. Tablecloth, of course, if you're doing a wedding ceremony out in a field somewhere, you want to drape off your X stand or your whatever stand you're using to hold up your console. I'll do a separate video on wedding ceremony systems. I have a few. So now get to what rolls in with me to every gig. This is a Pelican 1650 case. It's big, it's heavy, but it is on wheels, and it does have a handle that pulls out, so you can just roll it in. But here's what's in it. So it's got one of those organizer lids, heavy-duty trash bags to throw over a speaker if you're doing an outdoor event and it starts to rain, brochures, business cards, adapters, ones that go from 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch, and various Y adapters just to solve problems. Extra remotes for my LED uplights, phone chargers, various other adapters, more business cards. So what else is in here? An extra white tablecloth. You should always have a black and a white tablecloth with you. You never know when you're going to need it. This used to be a case for something else, but I've repurposed it to hold a couple of mics. This is for my ceremony kit. Of course, I've got spare batteries in every case I own. So this mic kit is actually for my ceremony system, but I keep it in this case. On to power. I've got a bunch of varying heavy-duty 12-gauge and 14-gauge power cables of different length. Some are PowerCon to PowerCon, some are AC wall to PowerCon. Got several of these, like I said, all different lengths, and there's a reason for those. I've also got And that's another one more heavy duty one, a little longer. I've also got these custom made cables with your typical end there and an AC end on the other end. And these are for in case I've got to put a powered speaker somewhere far away and I need some extension cord. These are basically my speaker power cables with extension cords built in. And I usually bring 3 of those with me. Extra gaff tape. So what's over here? These are handheld mics and wireless microphone kits. I'm going to explain a little bit more about those in a minute. And these are all my line level cables. I'm not going to take them all out, but I've got short ones, long ones. Usually they're in pairs. Most of them are custom made, and they go various lengths. A multi-screwdriver, always a good idea to have one of those. These are handy, and I think some of you guys will find these interesting. These are my custom-made quad boxes. So, if you've ever looked up a quad box online, they're expensive as hell. But if you've ever gone into Home Depot, you could buy the guts to make one of these for probably about 10 bucks. And with these, I can take my main line here from the household current and plug it in right here. I can't really see and hold the camera at the same time. And that just locks in. So now I have an extension cord of any length I want because I have so many of them. I could plug this into the wall, and then I've got my plugs there. If I want, I could add another one of these to the outside and another one of these to the other end and keep going all the way down the line. And then typically what I'll do is I'll take one of the lighter weight ones of these and I'll come out of the back of this, and then that goes up and plugs into my main rig. So this is what I do for power cables. As I mentioned, I've already got all these line level cables. Now here's where the fun comes in. I always carry a couple of DI boxes. One's active, one's passive. With this little sucker, I can get a line level output from just about any input, including 1/8 inch, RCA, or 1/4 inch. I could take an instrument, I can take an iPod, I can take a CD player, or anything, and get a microphone level output out of it to plug into the back of a powered speaker, to plug into a mixing console, whatever I want. This is kind of the same thing, except it's more dedicated just for guitars and instruments, keyboards and such. It does require phantom power, so you need to use a true onboard mixer with that. What else do I have in here? Some power strips. Again, I'm big fans of the PowerCon connectors, so this can go from my power output on any one of those quad boxes or the power output on my console. Other things I have in here, you know, your typical 10 gauge 3-way breakout. So some of these things like this and the extra cable are important. How many of you guys have been working under a tent, doing a wedding under a tent, and the tent rental company didn't run a separate service for your system, and they have all the little globe lights around the tent on the one circuit that you're expected to work off of? You're screwed. It's not going to work. You're going to pop circuits. So it's always good to prepare yourself, because even though it's in your contract, at least it's in mine, that I need my own dedicated 20 amp power circuit for my equipment with nothing else on it, no coffee makers, anything else, that doesn't always happen. And the bride doesn't want to hear about it when you're there. She just wants you to make music. So these mic kits, this is about the handiest investment I ever made. These are Sennheiser on-camera mic kits. This is what's known as a plug-on connector. It's a transmitter. You can plug this into your booth output on your board. You can plug this into the line out on the back of a QSC powered speaker. And then you take this. This is the receiver. So I plug this into here, and this into the input in the back of my powered speaker. And now I just turned a QSC speaker into a wireless speaker. I'm sure you guys have been in a situation where you get to a venue and nobody told you that the cocktail hour was outside on the porch. and you're getting paid to do that cocktail hour, and you're sitting in a ballroom all by yourself playing music to nobody, aren't you the hero if you can just pull a speaker out of the back of your truck and this kit, and you have an extra stand because you own a zillion of them, and all of a sudden you put music out there. It's no sweat off your back. You don't need extra money for that. You had it as a backup in your gear anyway. Other wired microphones, handheld microphones, things like that. Usually I have 2 or 3 of these kits in here, and they come in handy for a lot of different reasons. I even used one just a couple of weeks ago. I did a banquet, a wedding, in a banquet hall where I was on one corner of the dance floor, and the other corner of the dance floor, it was a wide dance floor. It was really far away, and a main entrance and a bar was centered in the middle of the dance floor. So there was no way I was going to run cables all the way to the other side. I just ran a wireless speaker on the other side of the dance floor, and it prevented me from having to do the whole jukebox thing where I got, speakers on each end of my table, and in one corner of the dance floor when you have this massive dance floor. So these are sort of the things that I've put together that work for me. They may not work for you, but it's also a good idea to have extra, just standard power cables, just to have them. You never know what you're going to have to plug in or who forgot one. So this is my kit. Might not be the perfect kit for you, but after all of my years on the road, doing all the different things that I do, and a lot of the weddings have ceremonies attached to them where you're doing that outside. It's always good to have the backup gear in your truck because you never know what you're going to need. So I hope you guys got some ideas. If you see anything that I don't have that you think is a must-have in your kit, I would love to hear about it, because I'm an old Boy Scout. I like to be prepared for anything. So hopefully I've put together some ideas that maybe some of you guys will find useful. And if you can share anything with me that might help me out, I sure would appreciate it. Talk to you later. Thanks.